Good morning. We have identified the individual who was in Salt Creek that was found Saturday. We are attempting to notify family and will not be releasing the name quite yet. We hopefully will be able to later today. For the individuals on Facebook, this is not the individual from Iowa. The cause of death is still under investigation, but there are no signs of violence found during the autopsy. We are still waiting on lab, which takes about 3 months sometimes. Do you have any questions?
Do you still think it's a suspicious death? Are you leaning towards that versus suicide?
Don't know. It's a great question. I don't know at this point in time. We don't know how he ended up in the water either. We're still investigating that, but there was no signs on the body during the physical autopsy of it that gave us any indications of what happened to him, but we do know that there was no violence.
No evidence either, like physical evidence at the scene?
No.
So, without any trauma, did that also rule out possible suicide?
No, it does not. I mean, there's pills, there's alcohol, there's other different things. Like we said, that area, the terrain there is so steep. If you're out there in the dark and you step wrong, you could take a heck of a fall. But again, we don't have any evidence that there was any trauma at all. A fall, accidental, somebody doing something to him. There's just nothing there.
Do you know if he's from Lincoln or Lancaster County or from somewhere else?
He's local.
And can you give maybe just how old the person was or any type of description? Was he white? Was he black? Was he Hispanic?
I'd like to hold it until the family knows. I will, as soon as we get a hold of them. We are actively trying to get a hold of the family. I just don't want them to find out through this press conference. That's not how we do business. So we want to make sure we have the personal touch, and if they need anybody there for support, that we can provide that and that they can have it.
How long were you guys at the scene, or are you still out there at this point, still investigating?
We are not at the scene anymore. We were out there over 8 hours. Well, longer than that, because we found it Saturday and we held it because it was going to get dark. Actually working, we were out there over 8 hours.
And do you have any idea of how long the person might have been there?
Probably 2 to 4 weeks. It's hard. We had such a weird February. It was warm and cold on that, but being in the water is different than being on dry land, as you can know, and preserving things.
And it still appears that he might have died there. He wasn't carried there by the river or by the stream or by any predators or anything like that.
A lot of times when we work these cases where the body's found in the water, most of the time they enter the water someplace pretty close. Not always, but a lot of times. The creek is very low there. There's a lot of areas where sandbars are, so that he could not have floated away very far.
You mentioned on Sunday video footage. Did that help at all with any investigation? Were you able to see the person?
There's deer cameras out there. There was an individual out there. We do not believe it is the person that was in the creek.
And you said, was there any other evidence that you found, that the person had been there for a while?
There was a chair. There was a kitchen chair out there. There was signs of him making a fire out there. There was no sleeping bag. There was no tent or anything of that. There was no food, no alcohol containers in that area. So, but it was shown. It looked like somebody had been sitting out there and started a fire.
Was this a transient person?
I'll let that out when we do that. At the family's been notified.
And is there very much activity in that creek at all? I mean, it's all private land. You know what I mean. Do people go back there very much?
We could tell that somebody, and it may have been the property owners, had a target set up and that they were shooting out there. Because you shoot down and the round's not going to go anywhere other than down, so it's a safe place to do that. We don't get a whole lot of activity out there. No, I would say it's mainly private ownership that uses the land out there. But again, want to say it's not the individual from Iowa.
And at this point, you don't believe there's any public threat or?
None whatsoever that we can identify at this point. No, we do not believe anybody is in danger whatsoever. Okay. The owner of the 5 German Shepherds that attacked Gina Rose on February 24th have been relinquished ownership. They have relinquished it to the Capital Humane Society. All 5 dogs have been classified as unadoptable. They have a tendency to be aggressive and to bite. Every agency involved with this case came to the collective decision that the dogs had to be euthanized. The Humane Society could not even get into their kennels. They were so aggressive. Do you have any questions?
So they have been euthanized,
Yes.
or they will be?
They have been.
They have.
When did that happen?
Yesterday.
And will, so the charges are still pending on her, or?
Yes.
Or is that part of the deal with the charges?
No, the charges are still there.
And what were those charges?
5 counts of dog at large.
Okay.
We have come to find out with the neighborhood that these dogs were causing a lot of issues. We had the other bite, but they would aggressively go after a lot of people in the neighborhood. We just could not allow those dogs to go to somebody else's neighborhood and be that way. We did not want them to become somebody else's problem. We here at the sheriff's office love animals. We all have pets, but the safety of our citizens outweighs any animal, especially when they are being aggressive.
What about the victim? How's she doing?
She's physically getting better. Emotionally, it hurt her. She's having a difficult time. We feel very bad for her. It would, like we said during the thing, she thought she was going to die, and if people didn't come to help, they may have. They were dragging her and had her on the ground, and she could not get up. So, again, I know some people will feel real bad about the dogs, and we do too, but there was nothing else that could be done. Any questions? Okay.
Another question about something else. They're asking me to ask you about the crash last night near Nebraska Highway 43.
I do not have any information on that, but I can take a look. I was not informed of any accident. I don't know if the Nebraska State Patrol would have been the one working it, so. Again, we will probably do Facebook Live again and release that information once the family's been, so you can get that information from there, and we'll email you guys and let you know when it's coming out on that. I know the public's interested, but I do want to say everybody at the sheriff's office, hearts goes out to the family of the individual. All right, thank you.